everyone, and welcome to lecture number 5 in the first IHF Beach Handball Week. My name is Courtney Gahan, and I will be your moderator this afternoon. This first IHF Beach Handball Week forms part of the virtual academy launched recently by the IHF to facilitate global online learning and licensing. All of this falls under the umbrella of the IHF Education Centre, available at ihfeducation.ihf.info. This Beach Handball Week comprises a total of 7 lectures presented by top beach handball experts from around the world. Today's lecture is split into 2 parts. The first part focused on the specialist, presented by Brazil women's national team coach Marcio Magliano, and the second focused on building a youth team, presented by Argentina women's youth team coach Leticia Brunati. Today we have some different translation information, as the lectures will be presented first in English by Marcio, and then Leticia will present her lecture in Spanish. So for the first lecture, the same as usual applies. We have French, Spanish, and Arabic translation available, and you can find these options at the bottom of your screen by clicking the globe icon marked interpretation. Please note that these are only available if you are joining us on Zoom. For Leticia's lecture, if you require English translation from Spanish, you will need to choose the English channel during her lecture. As usual, please feel free to ask questions throughout the lectures, and we will address as many of those as possible. And please note this is being recorded, so you will be able to access it later for on-demand viewing. So welcome, Marcio and Leticia.
Hi, Courtney.
Hello. So we're ready to start when you are.
Yeah, I'm ready. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Can you see my screen? Is it okay?
Yes.
Yeah, perfect. So first of all, I would like to thank the IHF for inviting me. It's a great honor to be here. This is the sport that I love, that I've been dedicating my whole life. So my name is Marcio Magliano, and I'm the coach of the Brazilian national team, the women team. And I have been a coach for 20 years. And I've been in the Brazilian national team for the past 10 years. First as assistant, and since 2016 as a coach. So I'm very honored to be here. Today we're going to talk about the specialist. There is a very unique situation that happens in our sport. And first of all, let's understand what the specialist is. This is a photo of Bruno, one of the most known players in the world, great specialist. Well, the specialist is a player that plays only in the attack. He's specialized in attacking and goes inside the court when the goalkeeper goes out. So he or she is the responsible for the asymmetric game situation, and that's what makes beach handball so unique, so different. These dynamics that allows the goalkeeper to get out and another specialized players to go in makes this game really, really different, and it has a lot of advantage in my perspective. That's why it's so fun. That's why it's so inventive. That's why you don't have pairs to compare. You're always trying to make the asymmetrical game in your benefit. And it somehow limits the individualistic actions, some things that other sports try to fight as well. Well, this is the specialist, right? And her or his primary responsibility is to create the best possible situation to make a 2-point goal for your team. If you pay attention, I'm not saying that the biggest responsibility is to score, but of course it's one of the biggest. And to make the best possible situation is what the specialist should have in mind all the time. For those that doesn't know beach handball very well, I must say that the rule benefits the specialist is the goalkeeper. It's the same. So every time the goalkeeper scores or the specialist scores, it's awarded 2-point goal. Doesn't matter if it's a spectacular action or not. In theory, I mean, it's not every time that this happens, but he is the player that defense usually needs to be more concerned about. Not every time, and I'll tell you why further in this presentation. So as you can see, this is the usually most teams plays with this configuration, with the specialist as a center. It's a way to balance the structure, makes the game more unpredictable in my way of thinking. And every time you move the specialist from the center, the defense must to dislocate a little bit, must to be not so centered, and it kind of predicts better the situation. And when you play like this, that's why the most team plays, the game is more balanced. So every time a specialist shoots, is a 2-point goal, and they should play in the space that is outside the pivot. Because as we said, we are in a symmetrical game. We are in a game that the attack is always in advantage of one player. There's no reason to them both use the same space between the defense. Well, let's talk about some characteristics, some important features that the specialist must have, right? Yeah, of course, it's a key player. I mean, the specialist is the maestro, is the one that can make everything flow in the attack. He's the responsible for the flow of the game, for the decision making, responsible for building the offensive game, of course. Yeah. So every time the ball passes by the specialist, and he or she must be thinking and trying to read the game and see what's the best situation for the attack. So of course, when the specialist plays as center, he assumes most of the decision making of the team. And of course, in an asymmetrical game like ours, in beach handball, every time the player has a ball, he has to make some decisions. It's always 2 against 1 or 3 against 2 or 4 against 3. So every time you have the ball, when you are the specialist, you bring more attention. The defense is more concerned about you, is more worried about you. Of course, that makes you have more responsibility in this way. Yeah, must have the right profile. That's something that I consider really important, because it's not just about playing well. It's not just about have the technical skills. It's not just about knowing how to play. It's much more. When you have this kind of responsibility, you must have the right profile. I mean, you must be emotionally intelligent, you must be resilient, you must know how to play under pressure, you must be confident, you must understand the game like no one, you must be somehow the representative of the coach inside the court for the attack team. Every time the specialist goes out the court and has this path to go down for the new entries, it's an opportunity for the coaches and for the specialists to talk a little bit and to make decisions, to to talk about new strategies, and that's a very important thing when the coaches and the specialists are talking the same language and they are very communicative. It goes really well for the team. The specialist must play for the team, right? As he is the one that makes the most of the decision making, and his responsibility is to find the best possible situation for the 2-point goal, must play for the team. But he cannot ever lose the offensiveness, the offensive attitude. Every time one of the four attacking players doesn't have the offensive attitude, is not playing to score, it breaks the superiority of the game, and the defense has one less person to worry about, and they start to be very effective. So that's why all the four players in the attack must be really offensive, especially the specialist. He needs to concentrate more attention. He needs to bring the defense to you, and then try to make the better decision. So if you're looking for specialists in your team, or if you are trying to build a specialist, if you are starting or if you're in the higher level, doesn't matter. The thing is, you gotta understand that the specialist, you cannot see just the technical skills. You can see the attitude and the intellectual skills as well. So it's very important. Of course, you must be very smart, very clever, very intelligent to support this kind of pressure of this deciding every time, deciding all the time. And must know how to use the rules at your favor. This is one thing that I like to talk about, because when you're playing against the players must know how to use the rules. What I mean, she must be able to give 2 steps and stop, and then give 1 more step. Must know the time to let the ball in the floor and how to pick up before the players. It cannot be somehow hurried to play, must understand the game and must know how to be as much as unpredictable as it's possible. And of course, must have great fundamentals. I mean, great shot, great pass, and dribbling, if I may say. So this is the characteristics that you need to look for in a good specialist. And I put the photo of Camila, one of the best in the world, in my opinion, because she's a good example that beach handball is a very democratic sport. You don't need to be tall and really strong to be a good player. Camila is not that tall and she's not that strong, but she's an excellent player because she has all the other characteristics that I said, like emotional intelligence, resilience, plays under pressure. She's really confident. So that, for me, the specialist shows how beach handball is a democratic sport that anyone can play, if I may say. Well, here I want to talk about the kinds of specialists. I see very clearly that there are 2 kinds of specialists that you can see with no doubts, right? The first kind is the shooter. The shooter usually is a very offensive type, very offensive, makes a lot of shooting, most of the shooting of the team. Has this powerful shot, and not just powerful by strength, but it's very good shot as well. And sometimes it faces the defense, and usually is a very good indoor player as well. And I'll give you some example in the next frame. And there's this cerebral kind of specialist that is different and is more focused on the construction of the offensive game. Is more focused on passing and has this extremely high quality pass and sees the game very clearly, understands the game like no one, and of course must be very creative, must have some unexpected solutions, things that nobody is expecting, and that's what makes the game so fun and so interesting to watch. I'll give you one video of each. So this is Martin from Denmark, in my opinion, one of the best players in the world, and he's the kind of shooter. Let's see. I'm sorry. Now it is. So this is a game from the World Championship in Recife, 2014. Qatar and Denmark, two great teams. As you can see, he is the kind of shooter. Every time he has the opportunity, it's a great danger for the defense, and he's very talented. He can shoot from everywhere. Not every time is a goal. I'm sorry, but I got this video, and they are all from the same set, so you can understand what I'm saying. He makes a lot of goals. The defense tries to spread and to walk, to run, to mark everyone, but it's so hard when you have this kind of player. So Martin is one example of a shooter specialist. And I bring a video of Camila. Is a very good example of cerebral specialist. As I said before, she's not that strong, she's not tall, but she's an excellent player. This is also from 2014. This game is the final, Brazil and Hungary. And if you may observe, how can she makes different solutions in every attack. She not often makes the same decision more than one time, and that's what makes very hard for the defense to predict what she's going to do, you know. And that's for me a very, very nice thing of the beach handball. A lot of different situations, a lot of different solutions, and must be very intelligent to play like this. Of course, if you're building a team, the ideal, the dream would be have someone as good in shooting as Martin and as good in deciding as Camila. So would be a third type of specialist, the mixing type. I put these both because they are so different, and you can see very clearly they are both very, very good, and they are both so different. So if you find someone in the middle, it's gonna be very good as well. All right. So the bottom line is that the specialist must be intelligent, must do the unlikely, the improbable. I love this picture of Bruno. You see three players marking him, trying to defend him, and he takes a pass that no one was ever expecting. He's very brilliant. He's the kind of cerebral as well. Let's see this video of the unlikely. Bruno is very inventive. He can make things no one is expecting. That's why he's so brilliant, and I don't even know how many times world champion. I believe 9 times if you bring it up. See, in this particular play, he passes under the legs of the Croatian. Nobody was ever expecting that. So it's for me, it's what makes the game fun to watch and to play and to be a coach. When you pass where nobody's expecting without looking, and not a traditional pass. Always doing what's less expected. This footage from the World Games. See, that's what I meant by knowing how to use the rules. That's what I meant by know how to use the rules. He made 2 steps, and then he's not clear about what he's going to do. So he stops and he left the ball on the floor, pick it again, fix a pass, and then go in. So that's what I mean by knowing how to play, knowing how to use the rules. And this one is I don't know anyone else that is capable of doing this kind of pass, but I just needed to put this video on this presentation. Behind his back to the left wing is something that it's incredible. It's awesome. Well, do the unlikely. That's what a specialist should be concerned about. As I said in the beginning, the specialist usually plays as a center, but it's not a rule. A lot of teams use them as a wing, but all the things that I've been talking about the specialist applies to the player that is in the center, but not wearing a specialist shirt. This is what we call the playmaker, because it's the one that makes the most of the decision makings in the game. And just to clarify, it's very simple. When the specialist is a wing, the playmaker is the one that makes the game flow, makes the decision, just like a center in indoor handball, in other sports. The playmaker is the one that's going to play in the opposite side of the pivot, and it's going to play making all the decisions, and has to be very good at the fundamentals, must be resilient. All the same characteristics that I told before about the specialist comes to this player. But in my opinion, it's even harder to play like this, because he doesn't have the 2 points rule at your favor. So he must be so good, make everything the specialist makes, and must be able to make a spin shot a lot of times. So let's see, I brought Zach here. In my opinion, one of the greatest players ever in the world. And he makes this position very good as the playmaker. He's also a very good specialist. And usually the player that is a good specialist is the one that is going to be the playmaker. You're not just going to change the wing and the playmaker and for this to happen. So as I said, it appears when the specialist is a wing, has the same responsibilities without the benefits of the 2-point goal. So that's very, very hard to do. It needs to play closer to the defense. That's another thing that makes the difficulty higher, because it must be able to spin. So it doesn't have the 3 steps in a row as the specialist. He cannot play as an indoor player. It's totally different, must change the chip. in the mind, you know. The specialist, when he's a center, can play barely like indoor. Usually, when are the team is new or the player is not very familiar with the sand, but he's very good in indoor. They put him as specialist, so this will never work as a playmaker if he's not a special, right? It makes a change the whole defense system. So that's a very good strategy for the coaches when the regular game is not working. And as I said in the beginning, makes the defense goes a little bit more to one side or to the another, depends on where the specialist is. Makes the game very different in a tactical way of view. Of course, must be very offensive, very offensive. As I said before, if one player is not offensive, especially in the middle, the defense is going to spread and is going to occupy all the line. It's going to be much more harder to make scores. And play for the team is the main point, and that's why a specialist in a playmaker can never be vain, cannot be too much proud of himself, and that's also must be included in the right profile. If you talk to Zaki, for example, you see how humble he is, and although he's one of the best players in the world, he's always humble, he's always calm, and you never see him bragging about himself. You know, that's very important to be a good specialist. That's why beach handball is all about. So I brought to you a small video about the playmaker, just to see the difference of the defense. See, the defense spreads a little bit. This is Brazil against Qatar last year. One of the best games I've ever seen in my life. So as you can see, Zaki has to play differently, has to make faking passes and spin shots. That's also knowing how to play by the rules, how to use the rules at your favor. This location is not the same, and brings the opportunity to the specialist to make shots from the wing, but must be very good because it's not easy at all. You see, fake pass and spin and goals and 6-meter shot. So must be very inventive. This is Juliana, in my opinion, the best in the world that can make the playmaker for the girls. She's very inventive. She knows how to spin really well. See, must be offensive and must be good in passing. And this is one other example in Oman. Bruno must be very offensive and know how to spin. That's how a playmaker goes in the game. Of course, there are a lot of tactics and a lot of details, but as I'm talking about the specialist, that's what I want you guys to understand, right? So I'm open to any questions if you have some. I don't know if it's going to be now or in the end of Leticia's presentations, but I'd like to thank you for receiving me. And if you have some questions, I'm ready, right?
Yes, let's do your questions now. So let's start with somebody just asked, which is, in your opinion, is more effective, the specialist to be in the middle or in the wing?
Yeah, for me, if you have a very good specialist, I rather play in the middle, in the center, because I think it makes the game more balanced and makes equal opportunities to both wings to play. And if he or she can distribute the game really well, can play to everyone, I believe in the center it's better to start.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and somebody asked more about the dynamics with deciding certain plays. For example, if you have a timeout and then you're going back onto the court, are you telling the specialist what they should do, or do they sometimes give you the ideas?
Yeah, I believe that's something that we both need to work on, because if you ever attack give information, you're gonna somehow overload the head of the specialist, and she's going to start to make better decisions. So you must be open to listen. Every time we go to a game, we have this kind of game plan that we try to understand their defense and make them play as we should. But much times the specialist says, "Oh, this is not working. I'm not able to do this kind of thing." So we adapt every time. So the communication must be really clear and really honest.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So this is a kind of two-part question. What do you think about the influence of the height? It was better for the specialist to be tall or short. I think you've touched on this a bit. You've shown us different players, but still, maybe we can talk about this a bit more. And also, do you think it helps a specialist to have played indoor handball?
Yeah. Actually, as beach handball is younger, usually people start with indoor handball. But here in Brazil, we have some experiences that people started in the sand, and they are also very good players. So I believe as the time passes by, there will be no more this kind of relation. But of course, if you start really young and if you practice all the fundamentals and you learn every kind of pass you can make, you would help to be a good indoor player. Would help. And the second part, I'm sorry, about the height, right? About the height, yeah. About the height, I don't believe it's a particularly important thing. Uh, as I showed you, Bruno is the best player ever, in my opinion, and he is not high at all. I don't know. In meters, I believe he's 170.
Mm-hmm.
170 is really not high, but he's brilliant. So if you have a Bruno with 2 meters tall, maybe maybe it would be good. But I don't see how can this kind of thing work. So I don't consider the height as important for the specialist.
Okay. This one is not about specialists, but somebody just would like your opinion about one thing.
No problem.
Regarding like the tactical evolution for the future, do you think it is a positive thing to increase the number of timeouts in a game for a team? And if you do, how many do you think? How many would you like?
Yeah, actually, I think the game is perfect like this. One timeout, we have this 10-minute set, so it's a very fast game, and I think one timeout is good. I believe we have a lot of tactics to evolve, especially in the defense area, because when you play with one less person, you have to be always figuring something out. You have to be always getting extra effort. So I believe the the majority of the improvement that we have to do is on the defense area, not on the rules.
Okay, that's all the questions for now. So we will get ready for Leticia then. But of course, please, if you can stick with us in case there are questions that might be best for you
no
later.
problem. I'm here, of course.
Okay. Okay. So everybody, just to remind you that if you need English for this lecture, you need to now change to the channel English at the bottom of your screen. If you can understand the Spanish, then you get to use the main channel this time. So Leticia, welcome, and we are ready for you to begin.
Perfecto, muchas gracias, Marcio.
Yes, thank you very much, Marcio. As usual, thank you very much for being here in this so important symposium. Thank you very much to the audience and all the members of IHF for being here and for having organized these important lectures of beach handball. I am Leticia Brunati, coach of Argentina's youth team, Olympic champion in 2018, and I am the assistant coach of the senior team of Argentina. We are going to speak about the process of forming, organizing the Olympic team. The first thing is that Argentina started organizing the beach handball team in 2018. The trend was positive, was a gradual improvement in
Tan desarrollado. Pero ese crecimiento cambió notablemente cuando en el 2015 el beach handball entró en nuestro programa olímpico.
when beach handball entered or was admitted into the Olympic program. So we started an unprecedented program for developing handball in the country. In 2017, the first court was built. Until this moment, we didn't have even resources to train well. The first expectation was participating in the Olympic Games to show good level during the performance or the development of the program. We changed expectations and started dreaming with something much bigger. How was the development of our plan and the implementation of our plan? We started in 2015 with the talent detection. We interviewed 200 athletes, women. They were not working in beach handball. We didn't have youth team or youth players. We started the talent detection. We constructed 4 centers for that aim all over the country. And out of the 200 athletes we were able to form a group with 40 of them. And we started the technical and tactical development to improve the performance of the team. We had to organize non-official competitions. We didn't have internal competitions to develop our level, so we were lucky to see South America united, and in this way we were able to compete unofficially with Uruguay and Paraguay. We went also to Brazil to increase the level of our game. And we pointed out to participation in the official competitions. The Pan American Championship, which is the qualification for the international games, was very important. And it allowed us to qualify to the first youth championship in Mauritius. So this was one of our aims as important competitions. In 2015-2016, we started teaching beach handball. The athletes of our country didn't know even specific techniques of beach handball. We had to teach them from zero. to spin, to execute the shootout, to teach them all the basic rules. In 2016, 2017, the objective was consolidating the process, the learning process, with training camps every month, lasting for 1 week, with 2 and 3 shifts, to be able to consolidate what they had learned in the first stage. In 2017, we tried to learn how to compete. We organized a very important championship before the Pan American tournaments, and in 2018, we were ready to compete for winning. This is very difficult, especially for the youth athletes. We carried out 5 international competitions, or we participated in 5 championships. We went to Brazil, where they have the best players in the world and also very good coaches. And also we faced Uruguay teams. And this was the main part of our success in the Olympic Games. About technical and tactical transformation. When we arrived to the Pan American tournament, we were not the best candidates to get the gold medal, but we went growing, progressing through the championship. We finished getting the gold medal and we were qualified for the World Championship. And we showed our performance during all championship. We realized we were able to struggle for reaching something important. The competition had turned us into something better than what we thought. We went to the World Championship. We fell into an area really difficult, in a difficult group. However, all the countries qualifying for the World Championship are strong. They have very good performance. And in our group, we had the European champion and the world champion. And in the main round, we had very difficult competitors. We wanted to go into the first phase to have 2 points to qualify for the semifinals. We didn't do that only, but we got the bronze medal for women and men, and this was the first medals at the world level in handball and beach handball in Argentina. The senior women selection got the same, achieved the same in the world championship. So in 15 days, Argentina won for the first time the 3 first medals at world level. However, this world championship was only in the intermediate step, because we aimed to be the stars in the world, in the Olympic Games in Argentina. Now we are going to analyze the mistakes we committed. Here we can see videos where we committed mistakes in definition. We had low effectiveness, many problems when we were under pressure. Europeans play in very different manner than in the Americans. So we had problems to resolve those types of pressures. Low clarity, low effectiveness in offensive actions were plaguing us. About the defense, we can see we were rather strong. We were attacking well. We were rather warriors. We were youth players, young players. We could read situations well, but we had to improve the movements and to have perhaps slower attacks in the face of the European teams. About shutouts, we had improved a lot during the Pan American Games. However, we had not reached consistency while shooting. Yes, we were able to take good decisions, but we had technical errors during executions. We got 1 point in many executions because we had technical errors. We didn't orient our feet well, etc. But we had a weapon very strong, which were our players defending the shutout out of the area. We had many captured shutouts. I mean, we could intercept very well. We went back from the World Championship and we started a very deep analysis. Our strengths were the defensive stability, but we had height from the right side of the court. The weaknesses were the low effectiveness in throws and low clarity or lack of clarity in the creation. We had opportunities. That was the strength in shutouts. In spite of having to improve in the performance, but we felt we were very strong while defending the shutout, and we had the room for improving the physical fitness. And threats were that the pressuring defense made us committing many errors. So we analyzed the model of the game for the Olympic Games based on the technical and tactical characteristics of our players. We faced on a defense 3-0 with triangulations of the defensive manner. We work with blocks and the participation of goalkeepers. In the attack, we based ourselves in the 3-1 system with the specialist in the center, which gave us the possibility of flight in the pivots or the wings. Also to work with specialists on the wing position, especially the right, and the flight with the more confidence by the players. We had prepared movements, especially for the golden goal and for working in the last seconds. And we had 3 different types of athletes to stop throws and 6 to make throws during the attack. When you go to the Olympic Games, you have only 9 players, the opportunity to carry 9 players. We decided to work with only 1 goalkeeper to have the possibility to carry 2 specialists. When teams is very young, The position of the specialist is very particular because, as Marcio said, the load of the responsibility is very heavy on their shoulders. So we prefer to have two specialists to work better in the penetration. One of them, the another one was better for the long distance throws. So we thought they could complement to reach a better result for the team. So we decided also to have 3 defenders specialists and 3 attacking specialists to be able to substitute or to interchange roles with any player. About substitutions, we carried out changes or switch 3 by 3 in a set and 4 by 4 in the another. Pedro Vago spoke about this on Monday. We consider that to win the set when the left-hand player was on the bench, we needed a change 4 by 4 because the height of this left-hand player was not enough to be against the pivots of the other team. So we are going to see the difference between the 2 types of games. Here, a pivot can start working between lines. Decisions were better taken. Throws were more effective. And we scored more than 16 goals. In the championship, it was very difficult for us to get more than 16 or 18 goals per set. As you can see, we were more patient while deciding. Here we are going to see a situation, predetermined situation with 2 different processes. It was very important for us, the process of decision making and execution. About defense, we work in the same manner, but we improved substantially our blocking or blockage and defensive capacity. We pressured on the attackers. We exhausted them because of the movements around the court, and due to training and experience, they learned to anticipate many movements that they were not able to make due to the speed of the game.
Muy bien. En cuanto al shootout.
About shootouts, we improved also our ability to execute. Players had more resources. We had specialized players in shootouts. We had, for example, 2 players for simple throws. It is very difficult sometimes to score a goal at the last second when the young player knows that it is in her hand to win the medal. So we see that they were more natural in the execution of the shutout under different circumstances. And about the defense, we also strengthened the different types of players which could act or perform in different manners according to their height, speed, etc. Zoe was one of the best defenders of shutouts, even applying different techniques by herself. Lastly, there is something extremely important from my side, and this is the soul of the team. To build the identity of the youth team is a multidisciplinary role. And the security in the play model is very important. But most important is the confidence of each player in her role and the strength in the union of the team in and off court. Our mission was to be the best possible team, to reach excellency, and to be the best possible team. It was not only to get the gold medal, but to be the best we could be, to be our best version, to be competitive. This was our daily job, but to make a competitive mind is very important task in this type of teams. Yes, we compete every day in training, in games, because it was not only to play well, but to do it under pressure. And when we play the Olympic Games at home, you are the local and the audience, the spectators are waiting for you to win. So this was a lot of pleasure. The bonds created in the 3 years of working with more than 40 concentrations, the daily work, the bonds created, as I said, made the difference in and off court. And the last mission was to make the fans identifying with us. Our vision, we dreamed, of course, about winning the medal. We visualized that during the training sessions. The first day we enter into the Olympic village, we dreamed, we sing the Argentine flag hoisted there as the winner. It is very difficult to feel the stadium in Argentina with this sport, which was not popular. The most important thing was to make people identifying with us. And this is the cover of one of the popular magazines. I mean, to see the stadium full. Values are basic: humility, commitment, responsibility, confidence, generosity, solidarity, respect, resilience, efforts, and happiness and love. These values went with us during all the process, not only for the players who reached the court, but all the other players who were left but participated in trainers, officials, etc. We tried to work or to form a team, something that nobody had tried before in beach handball. And lastly, I would like to say that we won the gold medal, but we really won, all of us, all the beach handball fans, the organization, organizers of Argentina, of IHF, because we were able to reach something that we hadn't seen in Argentina. We filled the stadiums. People were really highly emotioned during the 6 days. There were no seats empty, and the press didn't stop speaking about beach handball, and this was our success.
Bueno, ahora quedó abierta para preguntas. Les
So
agradezco.
if you have any question, I thank you very much for having listen to me. So if you have any question, I am at your disposal. Thank you very much.
Okay, so far we just have one question. Somebody asked, they have a under 16 male team, and they asked your advice. It's hard for them to play competitive matches. Do you think it's okay for them to play against senior men's teams and other age groups?
Sí, por supuesto. Lo primero es no, no tenemos.
No, we do not have development in Argentina of teams under 16. We started in 2019 working with boys and girls of 16 years to prepare for 2022. What it would have been. And yes, we had to compete in front of the senior teams. Until 2016, we didn't have teams playing beach handball. But luckily, after the Olympic Games, the growth was very important. And now we have a good number of teams playing beach handball.
Okay. A question has just come in. It's in Spanish. So I just have to translate, and then the translator will translate for you.
It's okay.
Okay. Well, I don't know if you can answer this, but okay. Let's see. This person just said they have a small budget to work with. So do you have some suggestions?
Yes. I already did it. Yeah. Okay. Bueno, la verdad que es difícil.
It is difficult. It is difficult to play with low budget. For us, it was rather high because we had the aim of the Olympic Games, and This was important to enable players to come from all over the country. But it could be developed with low budget, not as high as the European teams, but you have to have a good court to play. And for us, a big difference was to have the court where we were able to progress. But you can get good results with moderate budgets, not as high as the national selection. And training every day. I mean, we had to train a lot, 5 times a week. In Argentina, this differentiated us from other national teams, which were meeting for 10 days, 3 or 4 times a year. We had to meet once a month with training for 4 to 5 days a week, all aiming, of course, to the Olympic Games.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay, somebody asked for Marcio. Well, no, oh, we've already answered this question actually with Leticia, so we're going to leave that one, I think. So then we will end there. Thank you so much, Leticia. Thank you so much, Marcio. So everybody, thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed these lectures. Again, we are back tomorrow for the second last lecture of the first IHF Beach Handball Week. Tomorrow, we have a number of people joining us to talk about organization of beach handball events. Sasha Kubrovic and Burak Tezkan from the Beach Handball Global Tour, the IHF Beach Handball Global Tour, I believe. Marek Goralczyk from the PGNiG Summer Superliga in Poland and also Director of Beach Handball for the Polish Handball Federation. And Juan Diama from Beach Handball Manager for the Argentinian Handball Federation. We'll all be here to talk about the organization of big beach handball events. So we hope you will join us at 2 p.m. Central European Summertime tomorrow. Thank you again, Leticia and Marcio.
Bye-bye, thank you.
Goodbye, everybody. See you tomorrow.
Thank you.